Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Let's Talk the Winchesters. With me, of course, Carla from Carla Astrology. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so this is the second to last episode, and it's called You've Got a Friend. I thought that friend was going to be someone else, but
So did I.
okay. Let's just get right into this. So we start the episode with Dean's quote, and he says, being a hunter means always being on the move. But no matter how hard you plan, no matter how hard you work, at a certain point we all run out of road. It's what we do at those crossroads that defines us. Which I thought was also an interesting choice of words. You know, the whole crossroads demons making deals and like how you live your life after the deal and stuff. Kind of, I like that, like making those kind of connections.
Yeah.
Okay. So the episode picks up basically the morning after the last one ended. In the lab, the gang is cleaning up everything from the big fight. And suddenly John is joining them in his clothes from last night, which has like blood all over it, Kyle's blood from when he killed himself in front of John and wanting to frame John. And that Akrita Kyle version also made sure to leave lots of fake evidence. So he prepared some journal entries talking about how John was basically stalking him and threatening him and all that kind of stuff to make it believable, so that even the people on the police force who are not yet infested by the Akrita, that they would also think he's guilty. Like, just looking at this, like, he's guilty. Even Betty. We have her in this episode again.
Mm.
And of course, the evidence doesn't look good. And I think she doesn't really know what to believe, but I think she goes with evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, since John is now wanted all over, they decide it's best to hide. And so Mary and John want to go to Mary's dad's cabin. And as soon as they want to leave, Betty shows up, arrests John. Of course, he goes with her. He's not going to put up a fight. And it was in that moment that Lata remembers that there is a certain bracelet that Maggie has talked about when she was like, or she actually owned it. And this bracelet can pinpoint anyone who harbors a dark secret. And since the Akrita are basically having a lot of secrets, they think that maybe with this bracelet they can kind of get like supernatural vision to figure out who is Akrita and who isn't. So they go to a place where Maggie lived, and they actually find it. Lata then puts it on, and then it doesn't come off anymore. It shuts, and she can't get it off. So that means she is not pure of heart. She has a secret, which we already know because in one of the very early episodes, we found out that all the gang thinks that her family is dead. And then we heard her on the telephone talking to someone, telling that person, tell mom I love her, something like that. So we know the family is not dead.
Right.
But because of the secret, all of a sudden, like the light bulbs explode, there's shadows everywhere. It's a really creepy episode. And Carlos, he gets sucked through a wall into a room that is completely locked, and it's also kind of dark. He can still hear Lata, and she can still hear him. And eventually she gets sucked into that room as well. And then it turns out this room has to do with Lata's secret. And this room was in a house where her family lives in India. And the big secret that she's been keeping from everyone is that her parents, who have some money, they always had some like lavish food and like exquisite things. And since there was always a lot of leftover, Lata, when she was younger, decided to give some of that leftover to one of the maids or housekeepers that she kind of was friends with. And when Lata's father found out, he punished the housekeeper and Lata indirectly by locking the housekeeper in that room that Carlos and Lata are now in. That room has no heat or anything, and it was the coldest night of the year, so she froze to death in there. And Lata's mom didn't do anything about it. Lata couldn't do anything about it. And that was her big family secret. And that's why she's been telling everyone her family is dead. And I
Right.
have to say, I don't know about you, but for me, that was a huge letdown.
Yeah, I was just thinking there something supernatural was going on with
Yeah.
her parents. And
I was
no.
expecting something like they're vampires or werewolves or
Right,
something.
yeah, and she's a hunter,
She
so,
had to choose
yeah.
sides and
It was
something
just
like
like,
that.
"That's it?"
But her dad is a murderer and he murdered a human. Yes, that's bad.
Mhm.
But that's and then towards the end of the episode, the very end, Lata and Carlos once again are sitting there and Lata is all like wallowing in her pity and stuff. And she's like, well, can I really tell Mary and John that? Are they going to look at me the same? Are they going to see me as a completely
Right,
different person? Girl, your dad did this, not you.
right, right.
It's just like that. This was just
Yeah,
too, I don't know. I don't even have a word for it.
you know,
And then, so yeah, after she told Carlos what was happening with her family, the bracelet came off and they were free to leave, which happened just in time because in the meantime, Millie wanted to get Betty onto the team because she figured if the police has Akrita everywhere in the police force as insiders, maybe they need an insider too. And so she wanted to let Betty in on all of this, and they bring her to the clubhouse. And of course, Betty doesn't believe a thing. Like she thinks this is all just science fiction, and she doesn't understand why they would tell her this kind of nonsense. But then, when John is supposed to be transferred to prison, they want to make a breakout situation, like get John, because once he's in prison, they couldn't get to him anymore. And so what they do is in that situation when Mary and Betty are fighting, Lata then puts the bracelet on Betty and she finally gets to see what is going on in order to believe it. And we have some pictures here. We only got to see a split second of what she saw on the show. I don't know, can you show it, Carla?
they disappeared.
They
So I yep,
disappeared.
they
Oh,
disappeared. Let me
let
see if
me
they're hold on.
okay, talk amongst yourself, people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I left streamer. I'm just
It
gonna
could be.
yeah. So anyway, I was kind of disappointed that even though they had some special effect here, that they didn't really show it, that we only
Oh,
got to see it. So that's just me coming in. Let me see.
okay.
I'll just put these here.
Yeah, there we go.
There
Yay.
we go. And let me put the other one in as well. Okay. So I'll just stay here then. Okay, so here we see that apparently there's this green light coming out of people, and in the next one, this is like the camera is zooming up, and it seems like the energy is going into the building. Is it going into the building or is it just going up? I can't really tell because they didn't.
It looks like when I watched it, it looked like it was just going up somewhere.
Okay,
So I
okay.
thought that was weird, but
Because at first, when I was looking
Ghostbusters.
at this, I was like, okay, why would it go in? Because it makes more sense if all that energy would be going towards the queen, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because she is the, how do you call it in computer language, the hub station, and
Yeah.
then she has like all the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth
She's directing them with the
everywhere.
hive mind.
So that's how they
Yeah.
communicate. So
Yeah.
this was the only thing that we got to see, which I thought was a little bit disappointing.
Thought
So
of
yeah.
Ghostbusters when I seen it.
And this was also because the show doesn't have a lot of budget to do those kind of special effects. So
Right.
yeah. But now she knows seeing is believing, and she helped them for John to get away. and she made Carlos knock her out and told him like make it look believable, stuff like that. And so they got John back to the clubhouse, and now Mary and John left because their number one mission right now is to find Dean, the person that they saw in the picture, and still have no idea who he is. And that was the only very interesting thing about this episode, because when John was being interrogated by the Akrita cop, he also showed him that picture of Dean, and he really wanted to know from John who that is.
Right.
And John said, like, in that moment, he found out, okay, so I don't know who this is. You don't seem to know who this is either. So the fact that you are so afraid of this guy because you're trying to find him under all costs, that must mean he's a danger to you. And we know from earlier that the Akrita can only be destroyed or beaten by something that is not of this world.
Oh.
And so John thinks that the man in the picture, Dean, is not of this world. Yeah. And that's why the Akrita need to find him and neutralize him so that he can pose a threat.
Right.
But what does that mean for our theories now, if that means Dean is not of this world? What do you think?
Well, it says a lot of things. He could be from another dimension, different timeline, or he's just, he's bored in heaven. I don't know.
Yeah. So if he was dead, he would not be of this world.
Right.
From a parallel universe, would not be of this world. So right. Yeah, I hope pretty soon this is going to make sense, because at this point it's just dragging its feet. Oh my goodness. And the ratings speak to that as well. And we can see that here. So I found the ratings of the show, and let me just wait. Okay. So here we can see that, the first episode had some good numbers, the most so far. And then it went down because the disappointment was quite a bit. So it was almost, over 40% less. And then I guess people started to give it one more chance a little bit. But ever since episode 5, it's been declining and stagnating. And the interesting thing is episode 11, the numbers went up again, but there's a reason for that. And that was clever marketing. It was deceiving us, but it was clever marketing.
Yep.
Because just before the episode aired, they posted something on social media. And that's, So what they posted on social media was basically this picture.
Yeah.
It says, Rowena is back on the Winchesters. So with the episode being called You've Got a Friend, announcing that Rowena will be back, I'm guessing people thought, ooh, yeah, someone from Supernatural is back. And that's why the numbers went back up a little.
Right.
But, I mean, they have announced that someone from Supernatural would be back for, like, finale and maybe even the episode 12. And now we know who it is. It's going to be Rowena. We still don't know if Dean might make an appearance. They're still very hush-hush on that.
Right.
But, now the cat's out of the bag. Rowena is the one coming back. And, 2 more episodes, and we're done. And I think we're done. So far, I keep checking if there's any announcement on cancellation, renewal, season 2 possibilities. And the only thing that I could find from, I think earlier this week was the showrunner, Robbie Thompson, saying that, or making a statement that he's just really focusing on finishing season 1.
Mm.
So he's basically not saying anything, and I think that's kind of like they're not really developing anything else. So I mean, they have wrapped up filming in December, so they could have already written some new material, but I'm guessing they haven't. And if they look at the numbers, and I'm guessing that's why they did this red herring kind of situation now this week, because the numbers are going down. People are not really interested in it. It doesn't have the same effect as the original Supernatural show. And the chemistry of the people, and it's like there's just nothing there.
Nope.
It's no.
Did you draw
Maybe if
cards?
they would have chosen the actors that we knew as the parents from like Supernatural from the
Oh my
earlier
goodness.
seasons, maybe that could have made a difference because they're already established, but
Right.
I don't know. So let's talk about some cards, shall we? What you pulled something, right?
Yeah, I did. I got the Knight of Bones or Blades.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. So that
Abaddon.
would be the Knight of Swords.
Abaddon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and the question was what, like the last two
Oh,
episodes?
what can we expect in these next 2 episodes?
Yeah. And I guess with Abaddon, it's like pretty clear the Men of Letters will get decimated again. I mean, we
Right.
know that at some point they're gone. So I think, I
We'll
mean,
find
if we,
some truth.
yeah, because if we look at Supernatural, no one remembered anything about them, which means also Lata and Carlos cannot continue with the Men of Letters because then they would still be around and John would have known somehow or whatever. But the fact that none of that is there means that either Lata or Carlos would have to die eventually, as well as Ada, who hasn't been around in a lot of episodes now. Like, where's Ada? I think she and Samuel are still trying to find something about the Queen, but they already know where the Queen is. So where are they now?
I'll bet Ada's with Rowena. Or she something with Rowena.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll get to find out.
You see who's on the bottom of my?
Yeah.
Yeah, she keeps showing up. I feel like maybe that's part of the reason why.
Yeah. And that's Jensen's wife who played that angel.
Yeah, without saying anything bad, somebody's been. No, we need to do it this way. It needs to be this way.
Yeah.
Like,
I pulled an
where are you,
oracle
honey?
card from the Mausolea of Souls. I thought this dark deck is quite fitting. And the funny thing is, I pulled the Traveler, and it's called the Keeper of the Crossroads, which is kind of ironic since we're talking about crossroads in this episode, and that was Dean's statement. Let me read you what it says in the guidebook.
Okay.
It says, the traveler's identity has been completely effaced. He wanders wherever no roads exist with his lone worry steed, trading his goods whenever he stops, or wherever he stops. He stays in one place only long enough to see what he has, take on new goods, and move on to the next stop along the path that only he knows. So yeah, I think that's the one problem that I personally see with this thing. Like, they're trying to do this as a spin-off, but they're not really connecting it to the established canon. So they're doing with it whatever they want. And I think the numbers are going down because the connection is not tangible for us. We can't see where they're going with this. They should have probably established the whole link with Dean a lot sooner and like giving us some kind of clue of what's going on and how this all ties in.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is like dragging its feet for so long, that's why people lose interest.
Yep.
And then it also says his traits likewise are made according to some measure of value that exists in his own mind, having little to do with the local demand or supply. So not really listening to the fans. And like I get that they're trying to tell some kind of story, and maybe they have a reason for all of this. But if it doesn't translate to the audience, the people who are receiving this, then mission failed. Plain and simple. It's like if any marketing company wants to do a commercial, for example, here in Germany, we had, I don't know if that company exists in other countries as well, probably Douglas. It's like for perfume and makeup and stuff, a shop. And the slogan that they had here in Germany was "Come in and find out." Now, us Germans, we can translate the words, but it was like, okay, come into the shop and then find your way out again. So for that reason, they had to change the whole slogan. And I think this is kind of what's happening here with the Winchesters. They had an idea, they meant well, but we just don't get it. And so we're coming in and we're finding our way out again.
Right. Yep.
And that's just a bummer. I had such high hopes. I mean, I'm really excited to see Rowena again. I mean, our favorite witch, she's back. And yeah, but maybe with the Crossroads, I mean, what does the show need? Maybe a few Crossroads demons. Like, give us something that we know.
Yeah.
This is just so much unknown, and not going into the whole Men of Letters thing, like completely like, yeah, it's a side character, but whatever happened to John wanting to find out what happened to his dad? Why don't they know anything about the Akrita? Why didn't they talk about this with Mr. Sheffield a little bit more when he was still pretending to be good? You know, there's so many why not questions for me that
and they're gonna wait till the last 2 episodes to tie all this in.
Oh, they better be good. They better be good.
They better be.
But I think after this, I think it's safe to say that they're done. The numbers just don't speak for it, and especially since the CW has been bought by, was it Newscast or something? I don't know, something with N. A bigger company has bought the CW, and they have canceled a lot of shows, and they want to get like out of the red into the black numbers again by 2025. That's their mission statement, and that's why they're canceling anything that involves a lot of like CGI and stuff like that. So that's why we also don't see a lot of things, and they are focusing on low budget productions. Now, I don't know if you can really do Supernatural or Winchesters with a low budget. So I guess they would need like a lot more storytelling, but even something as like yellow eyes, like the glowing eyes or something, like that's CGI that has to be paid for. And so I don't know if this show is going to get picked up again. I think at this point, they're probably just going to stop talking about it and not ever mention it again.
Yeah, because I mean,
else,
they could have picked a different show to do that with, because Supernatural is, I mean, the fan base is looking for that, you know, and so even if you're trying to tell a story of the mental health, it's like, pick a different show for that.
Yeah.
I get it.
And it was supposed to be the love story of the parents. Yeah. Where's the love story? They've had one episode with the vampires where we really got to see that love story, but now in this episode, they were back to the original kind of coldness between them that we saw from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect them to be like all lovey-dovey and stuff, but they're not even acting like a couple, even though they are. And Mary even said it. I don't think it has sunken in just yet that we are a couple. But I mean, that's not what we saw in the vampire episode. Like, where's all that warm, fuzzy feeling stuff? Where is it?
Makeup even looked like she was ready for war.
Yeah, I think with that, like the clothes and everything, they're sending some signals with that. But I don't see this as a love story of John and Mary. This is basically just, where are the goddamn Akrita?
Yeah.
And John's not finding his dad. And I think also one mistake was right at the very beginning to establish the show like, hey, Dad's been on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home in a while.
Yeah.
So copying the original recipe, it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's like whoever had the original idea had a good one, and then a bunch of other people said, ooh, no, you need to fix this and this, and when it wasn't broken in the first place.
Yeah. I think it's also because the two actors who play Sam and Dean, Jared and Jensen, they just have incredible chemistry on screen.
True.
They really behave like brothers on screen, and they're also really good friends off screen, and that translates. And I think it was also because each of them also had already their own fan base. Jensen was coming from something like Days of Our Lives, so he was in the soap opera stuff. He had his probably female following. I started to watch Supernatural not just because of the name, but because of Jared, and he came from Gilmore Girls at that time.
Yeah.
And so I was intrigued and I wanted to know what his next project would be, and of course Supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so that's how I started watching it. And yeah, I mean, they brought people with them. Now we have a completely new cast that needs to be established. And what they did with Supernatural was bringing in the new people slowly, one at a time. With like each season, they added on new characters and they gave them a personality. And I'm still thinking like the people in this show, Winchesters, their personalities are so flat.
I
I don't
know.
see any real struggles, and I just see a bunch of crybabies sometimes. Like to me, they're just
Yeah.
like I don't
Except for
know, tough
Carlos.
mental.
I mean,
Yeah,
the couple
Carlos,
episodes have
he
been,
is
I mean, he's a little bit more colorful and well-rounded,
yeah,
but
but just one person can't carry the show.
no, he needs his
It's
own
not enough.
show.
Yeah. And I think they were just banking too much on the fact that Supernatural has 15 seasons, tons of merchandise, and that the people, even now, if Jared and Jensen are doing one of their conventions, people flock to that still.
Right.
And I think they were just really counting on that, but
Yeah.
it's not the same. So why should people?
Yeah. I'm like this.
Yeah, me too. So sad. At
Yes.
least I hope they give it a good ending and not some cliffhangers and stuff. But of course, they're going to leave something open for a possible season 2, which I don't think it's going to come.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, we're done. So let's hope for something better. I haven't watched the trailer for next episode yet. Last time I actually watched the trailer, and then I only found out that okay, we're gonna skip 1 week. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see Rowena.
I am too.
And I hope Samuel and Ada come back, that all of the people are finally together doing this, because if Ada is gone from the final fight, I mean, yeah, she was helpful in the beginning, but if she was their time version of Bobby, then I mean, Bobby was there in the end,
Yeah.
basically, kind of like he was doing what
Yeah.
he could, and yeah. Well, he was dead at some point, but like he was still like until the very end that he could be there, he was there.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed for a good finale.
Mm.
And yeah, so if anyone has any thoughts on the Winchesters, let us know in the description, or yeah, I don't know. We'll see you guys next time after the next episode, I guess. Well, take care, everyone. Bye.